Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Today in the European Parliament in Strasbourg, Law and Justice MEPs held a debate in which Polish MEPs and the editor-in-chief of Telewizja Republika, Tomasz Sakiewicz, took part concerning the TVN television station's lawsuit that violates freedom of speech in the public arena. Before the debate in the European Parliament, a delegation of Law and Justice MEPs read out a letter addressed to the owners of the TVN station. The TVN station has filed a personal rights lawsuit against the niezależne.pl portal and editor-in-chief, Tomasz Sakiewicz, for using what it claims are offensive words against it. In early December, the editor-in-chief of Gazeta Polska and Telewizja Republika, Tomasz Sakiewicz, was a guest on the TVP Info programme, where he reproached the TVN station for lying about the Smolensk disaster. The words were quoted by the niezależne.pl portal. Following the publication, the TVN station filed a lawsuit against the portal and its editor-in-chief. The actions of the TVN station are particularly questionable in the context of freedom of speech and of the press, which the Polish and United States constitutions uphold. According to the first subsection of Article 54 of the Constitution of Poland, everyone shall be guaranteed the freedom to express his views and to obtain and disseminate information. Preventative censorship of social media and licensing of the press are prohibited. The law may make it mandatory to first obtain a license to operate a radio or television station. TVN has requested a ban on disseminating information that TVN gives information that protects Putin, TVN hides the truth about the Smolensk disaster, TVN publications are manipulated. The TVN station is also demanding injunctive relief in the form of a one-year ban on the use of these phrases before a verdict is reached in the case. In this case, it is exceptionally appalling because the security of claims for this ban on publication, which is supposed to be for 12 months, depend on such an important topic as the resolution of the Smolensk catastrophe issue. TVN demanded security against Telewizja Polska, niezależne.pl, Grzegorz Wieściołowski, myself included. In most cases, the courts rejected this. In the case of the Daily case, a safeguard was put in place. We are to inform that the case is covered by TVN's lawsuit. If that was the only thing this collateral consisted of, then I would agree. But after all, TVN also ultimately wants, as a result of the verdict, a ban on criticism not for a year, but for life. If such a verdict came down, then TVN would be removed from criticism by the biggest media in Poland. Last week, the Polish Parliament had a more than 3-hour meeting of the Culture and Media Committee. The Parliamentary Committee dealt with the same topic that was the focus of today's meeting in the European Parliament. Some of us, for example, I as a young man, fought for freedom of speech during the communist era, and today, silencing of journalists or anyone I associate with communist times. For weeks there has been a campaign across Poland to oppose the attempt to introduce censorship under the slogan, TVN and Tusk won't shut our mouths. Day 356 of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. A 2-day meeting of the Alliance's defence ministers began today at NATO headquarters in Brussels. The main topics of the discussion were military support for Ukraine and the protection of European critical infrastructure. United States Defence Secretary Lloyd Austin gave assurances that the Allied countries will do everything to ensure that Ukraine gets what it needs to succeed. The consultations are being attended by a Ukrainian government delegation which will raise the issues of aircraft deliveries and the expansion of the armoured coalition. Kiev now needs a large amount of ammunition to fend off a Russian offensive. Meanwhile, more deliveries are gradually emptying the military warehouses of Western countries. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg reports that Ukraine is consuming ammunition at a rate that is many times over production capacity.
And we see no signs that President Putin is preparing for peace. What we see is the opposite. He is preparing for more war, for new offensives and new attacks. So it makes it just even more important that NATO allies and partners provide more support to Ukraine, and we will meet later on today in the US-led contact group for Ukraine and address the urgent needs for increased support to Ukraine.
Kiev expects a meeting of NATO defence ministers in Brussels to conclude with an agreement on further deliveries of heavy equipment. President Volodymyr Zelensky cites Poland's position as an exemplary in supporting Ukraine. This week our diplomatic marathon will continue. The first stage is the Ramstein Group meeting in Brussels. Probably the negotiations will be reflected in concrete decisions. I hope that the next stage of the talks, scheduled until the 24th of February, will also prove fruitful, just like the last Ramstein meeting, on January the 20th. Ukrainians welcomed and hoped for a change in the narrative of the NATO chief yesterday, who acknowledged that the transfer of the planes would not make the alliance a party to war with Russia.
Also requested F-16s, and it is also something that we take very seriously. Of course, this is a complex weapon system, and we have to debate this with our partners, also with the United States, and we have to think about feasibility.
The United States has officially rejected Kiev's request for aircrafts for the time being, but there is a feeling in the US Defense Department that supporting Ukraine's Air Force would be the right and perhaps even indispensable step.
Kremlin is still betting that it can wait us out, but 1 year on, we are as united as ever. And that shared resolve will help sustain Ukraine's momentum in the crucial weeks ahead and help Ukraine travel the challenging road that lies beyond. And looking around this room today, I know that our unity will only grow. We all understand the stakes.
Defence Minister Mariusz Błaszczak is representing Poland in Brussels. Poland initiated the formation of an international armoured coalition for embattle Ukraine in January. More countries have declared their participation in the coalition. As I reported earlier, we shared with my German counterpart. Germany is building a coalition of countries that have Leopard 2 tanks. In Poland, Ukrainian soldiers receive training. They will be ready to operate these tanks as early as mid-March, so after that it's just getting in sync. A previous meeting of Kiev's allies in Ramstein ended with Germany's landmark decision to transfer Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. Their first deliveries are expected to arrive later this year. The tanks will be a great support to our army. When we use them in battle, we will begin to move closer to victory. Armoured vehicles are one of our main deficits. When we send these vehicles to the front line, they will save many soldiers' lives. The Russian offensive is concentrated around Bakhmut. The Wagner Group has captured Krasnaya Hora, and regular troops are continuing their assault near Vuhledar in the Donetsk region. The Russians are suffering significant human and material losses in this area. The hospital resembles a military training ground. Any resemblance of this building to a medical facility is buried in the 20 craters of recent explosions. Despite the difficult conditions, we continue to offer inpatient treatment and mobile clinical services. In addition, the city's pharmacy was destroyed, so people come to us for medicine. It is difficult to meet their needs. United States General David Petraeus, in an interview with the German portal RND, acknowledged that the invasion of Ukraine will end when Russia's leaders realize their failures and realize that the war is unprofitable. According to the former commander of troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, further deliveries of weapons will hasten the day when Vladimir Putin realizes this. Earlier today, during a trip to Warsaw, where she will meet Polish Interior Minister Mariusz Kamiński for talks, German Interior Minister Nancy Faeser praised Polish generosity towards Ukrainian refugees.
It is
important to me that we today talk about the effects of this terrible war of aggression by Putin in Ukraine, that these are great challenges for our two countries. But I want to emphasize once again what Poland has achieved here in taking in refugees. I have just come from a shelter and was able to see for myself that Poland is really very, very generous and, above all, is doing a lot for the Ukrainian refugees.
großzügig ist und vor allen Dingen auch viel.
Faeser furthermore added that she would discuss European refugee policies with her colleague. In addition, she is due to meet representatives of the German minorities in Poland at the German embassy later.
Die Gesetzgebung gegen den
We both have a great interest in a common European asylum system. That's what we'll be talking about later. And of course, we will also talk about how we can jointly launch important legal acts, such as the CSA Act, legislation against abuse and sexualized violence against children.
Die deutschen Minderheiten hier in Polen treffen.
These are issues that connect us all and which I will also focus on today. But I will also meet the German minorities here in Poland at the embassy later. Faeser is the second high-profile German politician to visit Warsaw in the last few weeks. Her visit comes after German Defence Minister Boris Pistorius came to Warsaw to meet his Polish counterpart last week. If you are looking for that one-in-a-million Valentine's Day gift and have 13 million euros to spare, part of Croatia's unique heart-shaped Adriatic island, nicknamed by tourists the Island of Love, is up for sale.
Shaped perfectly like a heart, the beautiful islet of Galesnjak is one of the most recognizable Croatian islands. The island has an area of 142,000 square meters, and slightly over 40,000 square meters is up for sale for the price of 13 million euros, said Silvestro Cardum, a representative for the owner of the land offered for sale. Over 1 million photos per year are made on and around the islet, and I think its popularity is really high, said Cardum, adding that potential buyers are calling every day. There are no hotels, villas, or restaurants on the islet, but that doesn't stop many top celebrities coming in yachts to Galesnjak every summer, and now part of it is being offered to prospective buyers for development. I don't think there is a famous person who has been to the Adriatic without being on the island of Galesnjak. It is still the island of love, perhaps the most beautiful island in Croatia, and definitely the most popular and well-known. It tells you everything that Beyoncé celebrated her 39th birthday there, and every year she is there for a few days, if not weeks. Michael Jordan was there last year, so was Jeff Bezos. I really think that there is no shortage of celebrities around the island. Proceeds from the sale are to be invested elsewhere in the local community. In 2019, scientists from the Department of Archaeology of Croatia's University of Zadar discovered traces of human habitation on the now uninhabited island dating back 7,000 years.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programs. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.